everybody.
Hello.
How's it going?
It's going great. We have a lovely guest in the house, Derek Russell. Is it Toombs?
Either one will work. Derek Russell Toombs is my full name.
I was gonna say, ooh, Toombs. Do you lurk in the tombs?
I've heard every variation on.
Every
But yeah,
variation of
no,
that.
it's perfect.
It's perfect for creating and directing horror movies.
Mhm.
Some of the stuff Derek has done has been up for renewal, directed and released in 2019. A short called Shards in 2018, one called Ignition in 2022, and the most recent one we will discuss today, That One House in 2022. Yay! That sounds fantastic. And of
Oh, yeah.
course, to this side of me is our lovely cat.
Meow.
And I'm Luna. So it's wonderful to see you guys again for another fantastic, fun week. So, Derek, how's it going? How are you doing today?
Good. I'm doing well. It's a good day. It's I don't know. Where are you guys at? I'm in Central Florida. We had kind of a weird kind of blustery day. So it reminds. I used to live in Connecticut. It almost looks like it could snow here because it's just been gray all day and real windy and stuff like that. So it's been weird.
Yeah, we are in the west coast of Florida.
Yeah.
So,
Basically the hangnail. That's what I call it.
Okay. Okay.
The Tampa areas that like
Yeah.
hangnail.
Yeah.
like,
Okay.
hey, well, you got to clip out, or else you're going to get caught on everything. You got to clip it out pretty soon.
I don't know. I didn't go outside today. How about you, Luna?
So, I got bombarded with those freaking worms. They're back, guys. I am one. We talk about what we fear a lot on this channel, and what I fear the most are those green worms that fall around springtime. They just dangle from the oak trees. They come down, and you don't see them until you run into them. And by the time you run into them, they're like wriggling in your face, and you're like, ah, hate them. So, hate is a strong word, but I
Are
very
you talking
strongly
about
do not like them.
moths or like actual
No,
worms?
they're worms that fall off the trees. I believe they're
Oh.
called silkworms, and they fall down from oak trees in the springtime. And I have a giant oak tree in the front, and
Oh.
they
Maybe
are
they just really
blooming right
like
now.
you. Luna. They just really like you because I don't think I've had any issues.
Well, if you come visit me, Kat, right around this time, you will be assaulted by them.
That's funny. Florida's
They
very regional
they
that
might
way.
like
Like,
the view from up there. They're like, ooh, boobies, let me fall in.
Yes, yes, they are green. They're like booger green. So you will not miss them. Yes. So it's it. I don't know. It's it's pretty great though. But other than that, yeah, the weather's been nice. Than it raining abominations from trees. So anyway, we're here to discuss that one house that also had a few
that's
things.
awesome. I love
Yeah,
that.
we're so random, huh? Starting off the
Just
show
sprung
with
that out. Yeah.
worms and film reel and everything. Let's
That's
get it.
fantastic. Yeah.
So that one house, how do I describe it? Fun, paranormal, eerie.
Yeah.
How would you describe it, Kat?
I thought it was really cute. I just that's how I just guess that's how I describe it. I thought it was really cute and fun, and it was a simple concept, yet the lighting and the way it was filmed was very beautiful. And the characters, the dialogue, I really liked the dialogue with the two characters. You really got a feeling like they've been friends for a while. So I like the banter between the two of them. So I really like that aspect of it.
I appreciate that.
That's almost my same note, Kat. What I really enjoyed was the lighting, especially there's one scene where they're in the house and they're trying to communicate with the spirit. And he puts like a bottle and then there's like a light and every time it shines on her face, I'm just like, or his face, I'm just like, ooh, it looks so like, I don't know, eerie but beautiful at the same time. It's kind of weird.
And I love the pizza box Ouija board. That was just great. I loved it. And what is that thing called? The little, I mean, I know what it's supposed to be, but they use like the middle, like what holds up the pizza, like the box from like smushing and getting the cheese like everywhere. They use that as the little god. Luna, you'd probably know more what it's called. I try to stay away from the Ouija stuff.
Yeah, it's called a planchette.
Okay.
It
So
the real
I love the planchette that was improvised.
Yeah, the pizza saver.
yeah. Yeah, so back in the day when I wasn't watching horror movies, I was using those little pizza things as Barbie chairs. I'm like, oh, we're having pizza? I guess my Barbies are gonna have furniture. Yeah.
That's
Free
awesome.
furniture. I don't know. I used it as Barbie furniture, so that's
Nice.
funny.
You must have had some little Barbies.
Yeah,
It's like, yeah,
whatever.
like
They
a
were
patio
giant.
size.
Amazon women, barbarian women. I like it.
Yes, yes. You know, you take what you get. Most of my toys came from, thrift store. My mom would be like, all right, they came in $1, you get a big bag of them. You know what I'm talking about?
And
Oh
half of
yeah.
them are naked.
Missing patches of hair and shit, but you played with them because they were there.
Hey.
Kind of reminds me of me now. People still play with me even though I have patches of missing hair and falling apart, but people still love me. I don't know.
But there was only one guy, right? There was just Ken.
Yeah,
He
just can.
had to be busy as hell. I mean, I remember
Mhm.
my mom took Ken away because she caught us playing with Ken naked with all the Barbies. And she like snatched him and hit him. And we had to like hunt him down.
That's
Oh my
hilarious.
god. That is funny. Hilarious. Oh man. So, yeah, so going into a little bit of that one house, I definitely liked it a lot. I just wish it was longer cuz I was like I wanted to know more. Like, you know what I mean? Like it just kind of I was like it was so good that I'm like, man, why is it over? It's
But I
like
That's
think,
very
did
kind of
you
you to
get to
say.
tell the story you wanted to, Derek? I kind of felt like it was tied up nicely.
Yeah, it was just like, I just wanted to do like a short kind of snapshot, quick kind of, like a quick story. Like
mhm.
my big inspiration was like Goosebumps, and those were always, relatively quick, breezy kind of deal. I wanted like that kind of just like cozy, spooky kind of deal.
That's true. I can see that. I'm just so into like ghost stuff that I'm like, ooh, when are we getting the
Or
next part? Is there, come on, give us more. I'm like the fiend that wants more.
Or maybe like another story. We have that one house and then we'll have that other house.
right.
Yeah,
It's not
the
a bad idea. A whole
sequel.
series. Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Ooh,
You heard it
I
here
I
first.
like that. That's something to consider.
Definitely.
You let us know if you do it, and we might pitch in for getting some producer credits or something.
That's better than I joked that we were going to make that 2 house, and everyone's like, "What the hell does that mean?"
The two house.
Yeah,
Ooh,
that other
I
house
don't.
makes more sense. Yeah,
Yeah, that one
good
house.
note.
Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure. But yeah, it was so fun. Um, so I will say it was. I thought it was interesting that the way you did the stuff with the mirrors, like, because when they're filming, when she was looking in the mirror, it was already really freaking eerie. Like I don't know, mirrors. Something about mirrors. They say they're like a portal to.
And that
I
was
don't
a
know.
beautiful mirror, by the
Yeah, it
way.
was.
it
Love
was.
those old antique mirrors that houses always seem to have. Like,
Yeah.
Where are you
Yeah.
guys
After the
getting them?
that was actually my sister's mirror, but my she was
Oh.
getting rid of it, so I just took it, and one of the crew insisted on keeping it. Like a week after we wrapped, she's like, "Are you keeping that mirror?" So like we met up, and she kept it. So she's got that
Aw.
haunted ass mirror somewhere.
Oh, I love that mirror.
It was really
It's just
pretty. It
so
was a great mirror.
perfect. It was just so
Heavy. It was so
perfect.
heavy.
oof.
It looked heavy. It looked heavy. Chris said that other house, the
The
house
house
next
next
to
to
that
that house.
house, the
The
house
house
in the
in the
back.
back. All right.
Right, nice, nice. I like
Taking
that.
notes.
Instead of going with last house on the left, kind of just keep
Right.
love
That
it.
is just too funny. But I like the play on with the sheets, because then a little spoiler alert, guys, but at the end, you see those two sheets and you're thinking like, is that them? Or is it the sheets from the beginning? You know what I mean? So you kind of want to go back and watch it and then see if you saw them at the beginning, or you know what I mean, or there's more at it, or how these other sheep people got in, because when they were panning, the camera was panning around the room. You kind of saw like more than one of these entity things. So it's kind of like, how did they all get there? How did they all get trapped there? Is that house a portal? Like, so many lingering questions, Derek.
And you can kind of go dive deeper into it too,
Mm-hmm.
as well. To kind of like, what are we trying to say about society? Are we all just pieces of furniture, so to say? So,
Ooh. Ooh. So what kind of inspired you? You said a little bit of Goosebumps. Was that the inspiration for this, or was there something else also that kind of inspired you?
Yeah, there's a few things that kind of combine. So, I mean, that was definitely the inspiration for like the tone and the vibe, that kind of like Scooby Doo, Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Like, I wanted that kind of like light horror feel. But as far as like the story, I mean, I've always been super interested in ghosts and stuff like that. As a kid, I used to check out books from the library all the time on ghosts, and I'd always kind of like question whether or not like would I want to see a ghost, and like my answer was yes, but only if like that's what I knew I was doing. Like I don't want to check into a hotel and have it haunted, but I would like on purpose check into a haunted hotel and see if I could see a ghost. I don't want it to just like happen to me. I want it to be something that like I did on purpose, right? And so I was in New Orleans once, and there was an ad for an apartment, like a real estate listing, and it mentioned that it wasn't haunted. And I thought that was hilarious, but I was like, oh man, like if it was haunted, that would be a way I could go see a ghost, is get a real estate agent to show me this house, and I could walk around and hopefully see a ghost. And that was kind of the idea. I was like, oh, that's an interesting idea. Like, what if you got a real estate agent just to show you into a haunted house so that you could see a ghost? And that was kind of the seed of that idea of like, that's your opportunity to sneak into a haunted house, was to have it, shown to you. And so that's where that came from.
I love that. Or find affordable housing, maybe. When me
Right.
and my husband started looking for homes, we're like, maybe we can find something just a little haunted, just like
Right.
a little, just a nice ghost that wants to clean up a little. That'll be great.
Oh my god, that's so funny. So, getting a little into the paranormal, I'm like super fascinated. That's like my bread and butter. Did you have any experiences, Derek, growing up with paranormal or anything like that?
I've had a few weird things. I mean, like, I feel like as a kid, I used to hear stuff in my house a lot. I used to think I'd always hear like a lady. I used to think I'd hear like a lady laughing or sighing and things like that. And there was like one time we used to. Now I will say, we're kids and we would go kind of ghost hunting, and so we're young and impressionable. But we used to like we'd go around the house trying to find ghosts. The lights are off, or flashlights and stuff like that. And we used
So
to
which
see.
Ghostbuster were you?
Oh, I've always been a Egon guy, big nerdy guy. I
Nice.
love Egon. He's my favorite.
That's
Um,
awesome.
but we used to see like, so we had these tiled floors, and we used to swear we'd see like faces and just kind of the patterns like in the tiles on the floor, and like it in wood and stuff like that. That like once you looked at it straight on, it wasn't there, but you'd always swear there was like a face here and there, like in the weird patterns on the floor and stuff like that. And that used to always freak us out. And yeah, so that, and There's a few ones. I mean, the weirdest one was like my first apartment, and I was living in Connecticut, and it was this old apartment, and I was pretty sure that place was haunted. Weird stuff would happen. Like the weirdest one was I, got up to get ready for work, and the hair dryer in my bathroom was like pulled as taut as it could be from the outlet to just hanging like at the edge of like the tub, just kind of going across the bathroom. That's like not something I did. There's no reason to set it like hanging like taut across my bathroom. I that always kind of freaked me out. And yeah, stuff like that, just like stuff not where I left it, would happen to me in that apartment kind of often.
Ooh. We all kind of have those situations, right? It's like, I swear I put this here.
Right.
Is it little trolls? Is it ghost? What is it? Is it those silkworms that keep bothering Luna?
Probably. I always blame them. They come in here at night, rearrange shit. I wake up in the morning and they're just peeking in the window like, yes. Little
And they laugh
bastards.
as you bump into everything because they moved
Yes.
it.
Pretty much. Pretty much. Miss Cat, do you have any good ghost stories?
Me and my husband, we really love like ghost stuff, and we went to Saint Augustine, and we went there purposely to go to the lighthouse there that they featured it before on Ghost Hunters and things like that. So we made a point to go out there and do that for was like our honeymoon kind of delayed. And when we were up there, like the whole time I was going up there, like I started feeling like cold in certain areas, and I just didn't feel like I was going up the steps alone, so to say. And then when I felt like something was following me, like the cold, like I go a little bit and then the cold would come up to me, and I just like I didn't feel like scared or anything, or dread, but I just felt like kind of like a sadness, maybe, if that can explain it, but it was a feeling I'd never felt before. And then after we came down, we were looking at everybody had exited and was gone, and then we were looking back. We went like there's like a garden area, and they were looking back at the lighthouse, and they had a light in the middle of the lighthouse that was always on, and it turned off, and then it went back on, like something had passed in front of it. And I was like, I thought it was empty. And sure enough, we went back and there was nobody there, nobody around there. So that was just kind of creepy and cool. That was really the only time that we've experienced something that we believe was real. We did go to New Orleans and see the cemeteries and things like that. And I think I caught a picture of like what they call them, the like a ghost image. I forget what they're called. Um but it could have just been one of Luna's weird silkworms, or a bug or something. So I'm not sure about that, but there was definitely something going on at that lighthouse because I felt it.
Yeah, the picture was probably getting photobombed by my good friends over here.
It's
The
all just
worms.
worms. Yeah, it's gonna turn out that that's the explanation for like every paranormal. It's all these
It's just
worms
worm. Yeah. What if
the whole
we're
time.
made up of worms? Oh,
Oh no.
that would be a good,
If we're all
interesting.
oogie boogies.
Right.
Yeah,
Just two worms in a trench coat.
yeah. You should make that a short or something like where we're just living reality, but we're just a giant like worm or something. I don't know. That'd be
Yeah,
interesting.
that is interesting.
It's like body horror to the
Right,
max.
right.
Mhm.
Well,
I
I
definitely
have
see Cronenberg doing something like that, like the
Cronenberg.
worms
Oh
controlling the person. Like
Hmm.
we're all controlled by a worm the whole time.
God, no! The worm is a lie. But I actually have a very interesting story. I grew up. I moved to Los Angeles for the first time. I stayed at my aunt's house until we figured out living arrangements. At the time in '99, it was very difficult to find housing. I mean, even more now in LA, but back then it was still pretty difficult. We couldn't find anything, and out of nowhere, we found a super dirt cheap apartment that literally nobody wanted for a long time, and we're like, okay, like what the heck? So we moved into it, and when I say a long time, I'm talking about a month or two. Like apartments don't sit that long in LA. They're like a person's in, they're out, and then in 2 days somebody's already in there. You know what I mean? It just turns over so quickly. So the fact that it was vacant for 2 months was just kind of like, oh, whatever. It was meant for us. And we heard a lot of weird things, and we definitely heard somebody walking a lot. My parents are Catholic, so they hired my uncle, who's a priest, to come and do the whole blessing of the house. And I got to see that as a child. That was pretty traumatic because I don't know if you've ever seen like an exorcism of a house being done. It's pretty intense. They use a shitload of holy water. They start talking in tongues. And I mean, as a child, you're very like vulnerable and susceptible to these things. So just kind of seeing that play out was kind of like a little like, ugh, it's like kind of like grab your teddy bear type thing. And after the thing that they did, like the Catholic ceremony thing, then the noises still continued. So eventually, my apartment caught fire and it burned, like everything burned. We pretty much lost everything, but we found out because of that a man had drowned before we moved in. Like we were the next, and in the he died in the bathroom. So he drowned in the, I don't know, the bathtub or whatever. And then we moved in. So all of the stuff we were hearing is probably him. I don't know. I can't confirm, but those are just, information that we found. So yeah, apartment fires and holy water and Catholic seances. And yeah.
That's a lot. Jeez.
That explains why you weren't into horror movies when you were younger.
Right.
No, because I lived it pretty much. And my brother would wake up screaming because he saw a shadow. My brother pretty much lived in the living room because it was my mom and dad. They stayed in their room. And then my sister and me, since we're girls, we stayed in the other room. And my brother stayed in the living room by himself. And like he always heard walking from like the kitchen to like the hallway towards the living room. And then we would hear him like, as soon as he started screaming, we knew he saw something, and you would hear him like throw pillows at the wall, and you would hear like the ruckus, and we'd be like, just stay inside. And,
How old was your brother? Was he younger than you?
No, he was older than me. That's the thing. He's about 8 years older than me, and my sister's about 10 years older than me. So there's a kind of a big age gap. You know what I mean? So if they were younger than me, I'd be like, they still have a very young mind, but their minds were way more developed than mine at the time. You know what I mean? Now it's like their
children are more susceptible to that.
Yeah,
because they don't have all that bias and stuff.
Exactly. But they were older than me, so I don't know. It was just weird. And Chris said the worms got him. Oh shit. Oh man, it was the worms. What if all the footsteps and all the crazy shit we heard was just worms?
Just all worms.
Yeah. Oh no.
I don't know if I feel better or worse.
Exactly. The rattling in the walls. That's not the pipes. That's the worms. Ooh. I can't. But yeah, that's my paranormal story. I don't know. It's then after the house burned down, that kind of solved that issue.
Jeez.
Yes, and then after that happened, we lived um out of my car for like, I mean, wow, I lived in that apartment for a really long time. I lived there from 99 to 2014. So we lived this like whole stuff, you know, through all that time. I'm kind of
And
just
and it's interesting that you mentioned the blessing of the house. I haven't been like seen a that type, but it reminded me of my something that happened in my childhood. My mom's best friend was Cuban, and she practiced Santeria. So she did like some sort of blessing on our home, but it was very different. Let's just say that. So it's interesting to hear from all the different types of house blessings and things like that
Hmm.
that occur.
definitely. It's so cool. Yeah, you're right because a lot of different cultures do it differently. And then not only the culture, but if you have a different culture, plus if you add the element of religion, then it's so interesting. Could you could be, I don't know, you could be Canadian but be Buddhist, and then that will give you yield you a different result as opposed to if you're Mexican with like really strong Catholic um upbringing, then that's going to yield a different type of result. So it's so interesting to see different, not only regional differences but also religious with regional differences, kind of like how different people resolve these things of ghost. And Chris said Luna needs to watch Slither. Oh no. The worms.
You haven't
Alex,
seen Slither, Luna?
no.
It's a really good
Oh
movie.
no. We
I
gotta
need
watch it right after we're done.
I'm a little afraid of the worm slithery stuff, so I'm you gotta hold my hand, okay? Howdy ho gang, I've arrived. Thank you, Alex.
Hi, Alex.
Ah, here's a good one. What kind of ghost slash creature do you think was in that house? Um, if I may, I have a speculation. This house might have been a portal. And all the silhouettes that you saw were all kinds of things, spirits, poltergeist, everything, because when you have a house or something that's a spiritual, a portal, it'll bring anything through. And the moment she set the pizza box out, like you could tell like so much energy was being pumped into it. So I'm pretty sure it was like a gateway, what they call gateway portal, with a few different kinds of entities. That's my speculation.
I
That's
like
cool,
that.
and I like that.
I was getting sort of Beauty and the Beast vibes, you know, with the furniture. I just imagine them like singing at night and
Oh my
having a
god.
good
Yeah, I mean, you really think about like what happened to the people in Beauty and the Beast is pretty horrific. Like if you think about it in that sense, like that's really scary. I would hate to just be live as furniture.
True. Ugh. Such a dull, boring life though. Stay at home and just be there like a little mirror.
Right,
Oh,
right.
can you imagine having your hands like this the whole time for an eternity? Oh god, no.
but if you're a ghost, isn't that kind of how your life is? You know, you really
Right.
can't affect things much. You're just kind of there, just observing everything and have really no control over it.
That's true. And I guess maybe you wouldn't mind. I mean, eternity is eternity. So
That's
what is time when you're doing something for the rest of time?
it just seems like too long, man.
Fair enough.
But yeah, Derek, so what do you
Yeah,
can
I
you
mean,
reveal? Can
sure.
you
I mean,
reveal
I
what you were
so
going with?
my version of it, and that's not to say that this is canon because I like the idea. I mean, I certainly like that portal idea. That's really cool. Um, in my mind, kind of what's happening is this house is just sort of, it's like absorbing people, and it becomes more and more full the more people try to kind of like yeah, it's like, if for example, like if the real estate agent stays just too long, he'll end up being a piece of furniture at some point. Like, it's just this house that's kind of, everyone knows it is empty, and like nobody can remember like who used to live there. It's one of those houses that's been on the street forever, and then nobody can remember anyone living there, but it's got stuff. Somebody must have lived there, and it's just kind of this weird just sponge that just seeps, the neighborhood. It just takes, mostly curious kids, or, people that go in and try to fix it up or whatever. And they're just all stuck in there. And I wish, oh my gosh, the shot of the actual house, there was another house like on that same street I really wanted to film, because it was so run down. It was falling apart. It had crooked stairs. I mean, it was the perfect haunted house. And I was too late because they actually tore it down like just a couple days before we were going to film. And I was kicking myself because, like, oh my gosh, if I had gotten that on film, imagine how horrific the ending would be if like the people got stuck in the house as furniture, and then the house got torn down, and those people were in there. I was like, oh my gosh, that would have been so spooky. But yeah, we missed it. I had no idea it was getting torn down. I mean, I guess I should have known that the place was falling apart, but we missed it.
And you got to think the real estate agent had to know something was going on.
Right.
You know, like people keep coming and leaving furniture. Why?
Right. Have you guys ever heard of the Sally House? It's like supposedly one of the most haunted houses in the US. I forget where it's at. It's like in the Midwest. Mm-hmm. There's a really cool story. There's this poor lady. So the house became like a historical site. And this lady, she just works for the Chamber of Commerce, but because it became like a historical site for the city, it's her job to just go in and like give tours or just make sure the place is like cleaned up and the lights are turned off and stuff like that. And she's seen and experienced some crazy stuff where like she'll go do stuff, come out, and like she'll get home and realize there's a bunch of rocks in her pocket from like the front garden. Or like she'll go, and so she says that sometimes she'll go and she'll get inside and she'll just be like, no, today's not a day to be in the house, and she'll just go. Like she could just tell that like she's not welcome to that day. And it is so weird to think about being like a real estate agent or somebody who just has to go into houses and not know necessarily like what you're walking into. It's really creepy.
That's true. Do you guys have a sensation like when you walk into a potentially spooky spot? You know how some people like start feeling the room change in temperature, or they feel like a cold draft, or you feel like nauseous all of a sudden where you're like, oh, just something's happened to where you feel like a physical either ailment or sensation. Have you guys ever experienced something like that with something haunted?
I feel like not necessarily. I don't think I've got that like sense. I've known people who were like that. Like they could read like the vibe of a room really easy. Yeah. But I will say I will get that sensation. Like a lot of people talk about this, where if you're somewhere and say you're going to leave, and all of a sudden the sensation hits you, where like, oh, I need to leave faster. Like there's like that's like maybe you think there's something following you, or like you just can't get out fast enough. I've had that where I've been like in a place, but usually by myself. I was a Boy Scout, so I used to camp a lot. And so it's like that. I'd get that feeling a lot out like in the wilderness, where like you walk by yourself to go, brush your teeth or whatever at this like latrine that's like, quarter mile away, and you're walking back and you're fine most of the time. But then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I just need to be back. Like this is not a spot I want to like hang out in. And like, it is a weird combination of just like feeling like you're not welcome or you're being chased out. Like I've definitely felt that before.
Interesting.
Right. Like, nope, not today.
Right.
Not today.
Right. Yeah. You're almost like, sorry. Okay. I'm going. Like, it's like almost like that, where you're like, just, yeah, I'm out of here.
That's so That's so fascinating that you say that, because it's like, do you feel like that's part of like a survival mechanism that the Boy Scouts taught you? Or do you actually think it's more like the vibe, just the vibe is like giving you that feeling?
I don't know. It might be a combination of the two. I know that like, being in, Boy Scouts, especially, like, we're relatively, I don't want to say like we're brave, but we can be pretty foolhardy with the places that we'll go and venture out, just to like have fun or whatever. But I think, like you said, that survival thing where it's like knowing when like, oh, this is not a great spot anymore. Like, maybe that's, what that is. And like, I know it's not just like, just completely my imagination, because I when I was living in Connecticut, I lived in an old house with a basement for a little while too. And I mean, it's like classic setup. Sometimes the power would go out, the fuse would trip because it was an old house, and I'd have to go down in the basement and like flip the fuse. And I'm walking
Oh no.
across, but the thing is, I never got that feeling then. So it's like I knew that, like, okay, so when I get that feeling, it's probably legit. Like if I'm not getting that now, like if I'm fine walking across like a completely pitch black basement, like in a classic horror scenario, and I'm fine, those times where I did have that sensation, where that was like something different. Like that wasn't like my mind playing tricks on me.
I see. Yeah, that's good observation there. I would have totally thought the basement gave you those vibes because, like, oh, you gotta go turn on the fuse, and you know what happens in basements.
Right.
Yep.
Seen enough horror
There's
movies to
always
know.
something under the those steps to grab your ankles. Like, put on some
Right.
boots, damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just like we saw in Evil Dead with the doors and the
Mm.
you definitely don't want to mess with whatever's going on down there. You know. So Derek, I briefly mentioned the desire for more. Are you going to do something like something, you know what I mean? Like a full feature soon?
Yeah.
Ooh.
I am. Yeah. So hopefully really soon. I'm on like, fourth, fifth draft of the script, but it's something that I'm writing with like the mind to make it myself. Like, I'm not writing like space battles or anything, right? I'm writing something that's filmable, like with my resources. So what I'm working on is it's a film called Wild Skies, and it's about a park ranger who is looking for a missing person, but he uncovers UFO phenomenon that happens in this state park that he works in, right? And so it's kind of like, one dude out in the wilderness. It's kind of cool because he's got no one else with him. Everyone he talks to, it's over the radio, and so it's kind of got this real spooky like guy just out in the woods. And the last thing you want to come across is UFO phenomenon when there's like nowhere to hide or anything. And so, that's what I've been working on. I'm really psyched about it. It's kind of a combination of a lot of my favorite things. Like I mentioned, I was Boy Scout, and I'm always into UFOs and stuff. And so, looking forward to,
Ooh.
finding spots out like in the Florida wilderness to shoot and stuff like that. It should be a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
Nice. I
Yeah, I'm
love that.
psyched. I do want to mention, I just saw Alex name dropped like a video essay that I had made. Like I made a Batman the Animated Series video essay, and I didn't expect somebody to come here and mention that. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's the comment. Yep.
Yeah, that's awesome.
You did a job. You did a good job.
Yeah, thank you.
I gotta show some
appreciate
love.
I appreciate you coming out to check this out too. And I also the show that A Haunting. Did you guys watch that? That's where like the movie A Haunting in Connecticut. I think the story first was done in like recreation or reenactment on the show A Haunting. If it's the show I'm thinking of, but I know I watched A Haunting, and that was a really good show. It was a creepy show. If it's the one I'm thinking of, it was all kind of recreations of true, testimonials and stuff like that. It was really creepy.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, I love those kind of shows.
I'm so excited to see the what you're gonna do with this feature.
Oh, thank you.
I'm a big fan of Aliens. Me and Kat both love Aliens a lot, and it kind of reminds me of like maybe like a alien home invasion. I don't want to say home invasion, but if he's traveling in his car, maybe a potential for an abduction.
Yeah.
One of the most scariest movies for me is Fire in the Sky.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That'll mess you up. Like
yeah.
And it doesn't have to be special effects heavy. The actor can really, their face can show you what's going on.
Right.
That's
that was a really scary abduction scene in Fire in the Sky.
Yes. Are you gonna give us something like that, maybe? Like really strong.
Yeah, I do have, I've got my idea for like my big kind of like, I don't want to say like show stopping, but like my one big, like hopefully the moment people will talk about like when, so without, I won't be spoiling much to say that like at some point he realizes that there's actually, there was a crashed UFO in the state park, And when the military couldn't move it, they kind of built a real small base just over the wreckage. And there's one of them in there, and he's got to go in, and he's like, and at this point he's got his radio's dead, he's got no flashlight, so he's venturing through a base that he knows has an alien inside. He's got a glow stick, and that's it. And he's just having it. So it's like, and it's exactly. I'm just trying to think of like, what's the the worst scenario that like
what's
I certainly
his motivation? Like, why is he going in there? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, don't worry, you'll have to see. But I'm careful about not that you'll want him to go when he goes. It's not one of those like, why would you go that way? He's got to. He's got to.
Yeah. Oh man. That sounds so good. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm really psyched. I'm really excited to. I mean, I've got a few kind of like plates I'm spinning to hopefully maybe get some collaborators to make it. But if not, I'm fully prepared to just like do it on my own because I've become so attached to the story. It's like the thing is, it's the exact kind of thing that I would want to see, and so that's kind of a gift and a curse because it's like now I just like have to. I can't just like sit on this anymore. I really want to see that.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. I think it'll be fantastic for us to see something like this. I don't think I've seen any alien things recently. Just paranormal, a lot of paranormal stuff popping up, and a lot of like slashers and body horror stuff coming up, but not that much alien stuff. Good alien stuff.
Not a ton, no. I know there was that one. Oh man, it's like the title of the movie is like a full-on sentence. It's like no one will save you, or no one's coming to save you, or something like that.
No one will save you. Yeah.
Right. I think that's the most recent, like as far as like something that like everybody saw, like that wasn't straight to like on demand or something.
Yeah, I heard great things about it, and it did really good reviews. We were actually, me and my hairdresser were just talking about this yesterday. So I don't know, alien abduction stuff is pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Home invasion, alien abduction. Let's get it.
Do you have any distribution plans set up, Derek?
Nothing set in stone. I've got I do have one of my shorts got distribution through like on demand and stuff like that, and so like there's that avenue. Like once I finish, I'll definitely like reach out to them. But I would love to get it. I know that like theatrical is kind of a like I won't say it's dying, but it's becoming more specific. The kind of things that show up in theaters, that's becoming a smaller and smaller window. But I would love to be in a scenario where I could find distribution for that in that sense, where I could, that's always been the dream is, buy a ticket and go see my own movie. That'd be so cool. So hopefully,
absolutely. Yeah. I think we can definitely bring back the theaters, but we have to kind of go back to the double feature. We don't have to always show a new movie, right? We can have an old movie matched with a new movie to kind of work it out, like they did before. Like that's how they started getting people to go to the cinema. I think they need to do that again, and I'm hoping that we're able to do that again, because there's just something about watching cinema with a group of people and kind of being in that present moment. I think it's very important.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like there's been kind of a weird thing where it's like a lot of the stuff that maybe used to have been in the theaters went to TV, and it's kind of coming full circle where now a lot of the shows we're kind of realizing like, oh, that would have been a great movie. Like the most recent season of True Detective, I think I would have loved if it was 90 minutes long, but it was 8 hours long. And so you kind of feel that, and you're like, okay, so maybe there's like a weird thing where not only the biggest budget stuff needs to go to the theater, maybe some stuff like these real cool kind of tone pieces can go back to theaters.
That's true. We need a more really good cinema, because like I haven't been to the movies in such a long time. Like really, I just wait for it to come out on whatever streaming platform.
Right.
And if you have your home set up the way you want, sometimes it sounds better than it does at the theater, and you're more comfortable. Yeah. And the snacks are endless.
Yeah.
True. So that we need a change, and we need a resurgence in cinema. We need something to change for us to want to go out and venture again with our friends and stuff, you know?
Definitely.
And I
I know
think
that when Barbie and Oppenheimer came out, I went to the theaters, and I mean the theater was packed. It could be like a Tuesday afternoon, and it was packed, and it made me so happy to see that people were out there and in droves, and you knew what people were seeing because you were either dressed in pink or you were dressed in normal clothes, and it was like so cool to just be able to like spot somebody and know like you're going to see what I just went and saw or whatever. That was so cool.
I'm so glad I did see
Hmm.
Oppenheimer in the theater. I
Yeah,
mean, it was just amazing.
yeah. So hopefully we can get some more of that, and I feel like we will. I hope we will.
exactly. And I think movies and concepts, just like what you're saying, with like things that haven't been done in a long time, and we need
Hmm.
we need refreshers on always. I think it's a good opportunity.
And now that, people are dressing up, for films. I used to be the only one. It's like now I see, like, I know what movie you're seeing. This is great.
Right.
So now, like, let's use that, right? Let's encourage people to go to the theater dressed up and make it an event, not just like,
Hmm.
okay, here's the movie and then you go home. No, there's your intermission, wish you get to do whatever you need to do
Yeah.
and come back, have fun, encourage people to talk amongst each other, get to know each other during the intermission periods.
Hmm.
Take pictures, dressed
Yeah.
up. Oh man.
That
Oh
sounds awesome.
man. I know. We gotta bring back cinema. We're full I don't know, heart and mind about it.
Right. Right. All in.
All in on that cinema experience.
And I
So
had one last question for you, Derek, about
Hmm.
that one house.
Hmm.
Do you think that they were actually turned into furniture, or were their bodies twisted and warped to resemble furniture?
Ooh. Okay.
ooh.
That's interesting. That's so I would say my first thought would have been that they just get turned into furniture. Like if you lifted the thing, there's a lamp under there. But that idea of like just a person being kind of bent and broken into a hat rack or whatever is so like unsettling. I love that. Ooh, that's creepy. That would be like if you know how like, oh man, what's his name? The guy that made Shazam, he like made shorts on YouTube and then got to make like he made Lights Out as like a short, then he got to make it as a film. If like
Oh
I got
yes,
to make
that creeped me out. I got
yeah,
chills
yeah.
just thinking about it when I first saw it on my phone. I was like, "What?"
Yeah, if I got to make that one house as a feature, I'm stealing that idea. That's definitely twisted people because that's so creepy.
Yes, yes. If you do make it a feature, phone us up. We're
Definitely.
interested. Get us
Yeah.
in. Get us in the movie. We will always take acting credits, producer credits,
Will
whatever.
do. Okay.
It
Will
will be
do.
the furniture.
Right, right.
You guys
Wait,
are great actors.
Yeah. Just
you
2
know
more
why?
hours.
You know why me and Kat would make great furniture?
What's that?
We have lovely sets of racks.
Nice. Nice.
I knew I was walking into something. I had no idea what though. That was good.
Sorry, I had to.
You did.
I had to. We are lawless on this channel, and we had to. I don't know. Thank you for entertaining the idea, though.
Of course.
I'd probably want to be. I'd probably want to be an oven though,
Okay.
because
Why is that?
I'd get baked all the time.
All right.
No, no,
I
I'm
can't
just
trust you
kidding.
anymore. How many of these am I going to walk into?
No,
How
no,
many
no.
furniture
Seriously,
puns do you have?
I have a lot
I
actually.
want to be a light so I can keep getting turned on.
Oh man.
Derek, you're really gonna hate us after this.
No,
but...
you're good. This is awesome.
But yeah, no, the oven idea, because then people will use me to make delicious food, and I could feed them, and I'll know.
Right.
It's like, oh, I get to feed people with my body.
Oh.
We're the weirdos, but
No,
people
love
watch
it.
us, I guess. So
There was this is the first time I've experienced. So I went to this is my first time I've ever gone to Spooky Empire because my film was in the festival there, and I'm not like a giant horror person. My tolerance is like a little bit low. I'm a little bit of a baby. Like I love like
mhm.
I like what I like, but um but I've always heard, but I got to experience that like horror fans are like the sweetest people like in the world, and
Oh yeah.
everybody's just so cool. And the trappings are all like all terrifying because everyone's in crazy costumes and everyone loves like pentagrams and stuff like that. But everyone's so nice, and it was just like I was there and I was like real sick. I was getting over a cold and stuff like that. I only went for like my block of like the film festival, but I wanted to walk around some, and it was just so nice, like everybody just hanging out and stuff like that. That was awesome.
Oh yeah, horror fans are not only the most loyal, because I will say there are some fucking loyal people out there within our community, but people are so kind. I've experienced that at conventions. Like somebody that I met at a horror convention, they're like, "Oh yeah, if things don't work out with you, just come stay in my hotel." And I'm like, wow. I just met you, and I might stay in your hotel next year. Like, fuck it.
Right. That's awesome. That's
and
awesome.
Chris said, "Good thing you both have day jobs with those jokes."
Dang.
Wow, that was cold-blooded, but here
He's
for
just
it.
Jealous.
He's just jealous because
I will say, they're cheesy, but they were quick. I mean, it's not like you guys didn't need like a writer's room to come up with those. That was good.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at you.
There's the fireball, the spitball, fast ones that slide in, get it done, and
it's a gift.
Go home. It's a gift.
Like them silkworms, it just falls in.
Yeah, they just drop right in from the tree. They just drop right in. Hello.
You guys like sponsored by these silkworms or something? It's crazy. It's crazy how many times we've worked them in.
No, we don't let them in. They come in.
Yeah.
They invade the podcast.
The word of the day, we have the creature of the day.
Right.
Apparently,
the creature of the day. Of course, the creature of the day.
Nice.
So, before we begin to wrap up, out of all of the ones that you've directed, I see a few shorts that you've directed. Which has been your favorite and which has been the most challenging?
Oof. Okay. So I'm kind of gonna cheat because so this short, That One House, and my other short, Ignition, they're actually really tied together in a weird way. So Ignition I made while I was still in college. So I was a non-traditional student. By the time I graduated, I think I was 33, 32. So I made Ignition right before the pandemic happened. And so we had shot the film. I had made like a really rough cut, and then the pandemic happened, and I lost access to any kind of like editing facilities and things like that. So it kind of just was like stuck sitting on a shelf. And that one needed some visual effects and stuff like that. So it wasn't something I felt prepared to just like do on my own, like on my potato computer. And so I was so frustrated because that was like a lifelong dream. I'm like 30 years old. To graduate, we didn't graduate. We saw our names on like a YouTube stream, and so it was just so anticlimactic, right? And so I got a bunch of my classmates. I shouldn't say a bunch. It was only 10 because of COVID. That was kind of like what you had to keep it down to. But I got, 10 friends together to make That One House. They were all my friends from film school. And it was sort of like our taking matters into our own hands because we didn't graduate. We didn't get to show our film. So we were a bunch of film school graduates without films and no graduation. And so this was kind of like it was almost like our revenge film. We're like, let's just make something real fun. We're all going to hang out. It's over 2 days, over a weekend. And so, just the way those two linked together. And, by the time I was ready to edit That One House, I had a better computer and I was editing that Ignition as well. And so just those two kind of orbit each other really closely kind of in my heart. And that's like, it's kind of a double feature for me. And it was definitely, those challenges that I mentioned as far as like not being able to finish was rough. The most challenging thing for That One House was, how there's like a running bit where I keep hitting my head on the lantern. I did that like as like an ad lib the first time, not realizing that I was gonna have to do that for like 10 takes because I thought it was funny once, and then I had to do it like so many times. My forehead was all swollen, and so that was rough. And of course, like we would laugh and ruin the take, and I'd have to do it again and stuff like that. And so that was something I don't know if I would have done again if I knew I was gonna have to do it like 12 more times.
Oh my God, that is so funny. I immediately saw that lantern and I was like, you got that at IKEA, didn't you?
Guilty, yeah.
I know. I recognize my IKEA furniture from a mile away. I'm like, IKEA furniture. Got it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. I personally like the golden effect that you had when you guys are walking to go see the house.
Oh yeah.
And it didn't look like, everyday life. It didn't look like, I don't know. It didn't look like what this looks like. It
Right,
had
right.
like a weird red golden tint to it, and I
Yeah.
thought that was interesting.
Yeah, thanks. We actually shot it here in Orlando like during the springtime. So it was very green. And while I was editing, I was like, this does not have like the spooky like vibe I want. I was like, I want this to look like, I mean, obviously I can't like really make it look like fall, but I wanted to make it look like what like fall looks like in my head. Like, when I'm thinking about like, I don't know, Hocus Pocus or something like that. Like, what's that kind of like fake fall kind of look? And so I just, I figured out ways to like push the colors of like the foliage as much as I could, and while still keeping like our skin and clothes the right color. And so, yeah, I'm actually really glad you noticed that, because it was a lot of work to like get that like perfect, like, heightened reality kind of sunset autumn color.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm a big noticer for. I'm like, that's not your typical green color.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
like a gold. That's like a gold color. Ooh, we golden.
And
I like
Derek,
it.
that
Yeah, appreciate
reminds me, I love the shot where I guess the camera was upside down and it was just
Oh
those
yeah.
shadows
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
walking. That was awesome, and I'm
Oh, thank
sure
you.
that took some time.
Yeah, it was it wasn't something we had planned on. We were filming the shot of like, I think it was us with our backs to the camera. And when we turned around to do it again, everyone noticed like, oh, look at how long our shadows are and how cool that looks. So we were like, quick, get it, like before the sun goes down too much more. And so yeah, that was a happy accident. It looked great. Thank you.
That was awesome.
Yeah, that looked cool too. Oh, I love that.
Appreciate that.
And the mirror effects, and the like I mentioned earlier,
That
when
took a
they
lot
were
of work.
like
Yeah.
when they were talking, and then you'd see like something walk past the
Hmm.
mirror, and you're like, hang on, pause
Yeah.
it, rewind it a little bit. Oh, that was a shadow back there. It wasn't just my imagination.
Right.
I like that. That was really cool too.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well, looks like you got a lot of practice with a lot of cool practical effects, a
Mhm.
lot of editing, and it's a brilliant short.
Oh, thank you so
I
much.
enjoyed it very much, and you guys can go on YouTube and watch it for free. Correct?
Correct. Yeah, it's on my channel.
Just go on his channel. I'll share it in the link description,
Perfect.
so that way you guys can go watch it at any time. And Miss Kat, do you have any other questions for Derek before we skedaddle?
No, thank you for joining us, Derek. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. This was a lot of fun.
Yeah, next time you release anything, let us know.
Will do.
We'll
Yeah.
we'll invite you back. We'll pick at you again, but
No,
not
that'll be
as
fun.
bad. Hopefully next time, less puns maybe, or
We'll
more
see.
puns,
Yeah,
whatever.
maybe more. Yeah, if it's a longer movie, you'll have more opportunities
More.
for puns.
Oh yeah, more definitely. Well,
Thanks
thank
so
you,
much.
Derek. Thank you, Kat. Derek, stay after the credits roll out so we
Okay,
can have a little send off for you.
sounds good.
Guys, thank you so much for watching. We will see you guys next week. Next week, we are doing something a little different, right, Kat? I gotta bring up my little calendar real quick. So
Sorry, I live one day at a time, Luna. I try.
that's true. That's true. So next week we are going to do. Hang on. Inner Child. We're gonna be discussing a movie called Inner Child. We've been promoting it, and then next week will be our 44th episode. So yeah, we can't wait. All right, 44. See you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.
Hello, boils and ghouls. It's your old pal, John Kassir, the voice of the Crypt Keeper. And I want to thank you for listening to Delight and Fright with your hosts, Luna and Kat, a podcast for outcasts.